Go
They
on.
treat the women they care about like they're queen, but if you get on their bad side, they'll destroy you.
Damn right, bitch. That's all.
But I kind of was I think this is how this podcast kind of taught me. You got to roll with the punches, go with the flow a little bit.
You need to go with the flow.
And make
Yeah.
sure that you're engaged with the audience and not what's in front of you, which might be a piece of paper or your iPhone. Which was honestly I felt like I was doing stand up.
Yeah, I completely understand. Like, I think the difference between when you have 800 people versus something more intimate, like on
Yeah.
a 60 crowd, 60 people crowd, it just, you feel like you could see everybody, and then, you're at that comfort zone, you know that you could take over the floor.
Yeah.
And,
Like think about it like this. Like everyone at your reception. So first of all, kudos to you. You killed it.
Yeah.
Had such a unique venue. The venue was at I think it was called the Jessica Frolic Art Gallery up
yeah,
near Yorkdale.
yeah,
It's literally a beautiful art gallery. All the art pieces are by her.
they're worth a lot.
That were worth quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, and I think you can have a venue like that for like 60 people, but it's hard to find venues where you can get creative with larger numbers. So I think that's the advantage of having a more intimate wedding. But
It is. It is. And one thing is, even though when you think about 60 people, it's going to be cost effective, it's not, because when you do a DIY type of wedding, especially an art gallery or something that's just an open space, you got to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So Julie, she's a creator. She put a wedding planning hat mode on our own wedding, and then I did mostly my coordination stuff, like based on my skills that I have, and we made it happen. 2 people. Typically, you tend to hire a wedding planner or wedding
decor.
coordinator.
Let me break it down first of all. My guy here, Roshan, got married. Day of his wedding, he had the reception the same day. Literally, cocktail hour is starting at 6 p.m. It is 5:11 p.m. He's still in his sweats and his sweater. So am I. And literally all hands on deck. There's like about 20 people that are at the reception. Everyone's setting up the decor,
All our
the
friends,
tables.
everybody.
Everything was kind of done in-house. With
2.5 hours it took to
It
set up.
took us 2.5 hours to set up. And I was like looking at the clock and I'm like, fuck, it's almost 6, cocktail hour. This guy's still in his sweats. He went to the washroom at the gallery. We changed there.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, boom.
just started the
it
party.
started. And it was sick. Like, I think, sometimes we get so caught up on making something so grand when you forget how it's each other's company that's just as important,
Yeah, and kudos to everybody that helped us out. It was the greatest moment to see everybody helping me out. It was very stressful for me at that moment. That 2 hours was not having Julie around. Obviously, I told her to relax.
Yeah.
But
Why didn't you think of getting, like, walk me through your process or thought process of not getting a wedding planner, or not a wedding planner, or a decor company, or why put that stress on you to do it yourself?
It was all about the timing and the cost involved. All the stuff that we spent money towards was the entertainment. We wanted to actually have people to enjoy the time whatsoever, because it was about very small crowd, like 60 people.
Right.
We calculated everything that it's doable to set up an entire venue in 2.5 hours,
Right.
with the people that I have, and also like with the Julie's planning, and with my coordination, it's gonna work out. And I had the right people,
Right.
So
And all the decor was literally sourced by you guys.
yeah, we sourced it.
We kept everything.
Everything was botched.
Did you return shit?
Oh, we did fucking return shit.
Yeah.
the following day, 2 days later, we kept those receipts. I returned the liquor, leftover liquor that we had, and then we returned all the decor stuff back to. We bought most of the stuff from IKEA, and it looked legit. It looked pretty sick, right?
Yeah.
And then we saved we returned everything, and we saved about close to like $3,000.
It's huge. Yeah.
We got
like, you did all the decor yourself. You got a sick DJ who was an up and coming high schooler, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Like we talked about wedding costs. The Indian wedding scene, man.
Oh man, I know.
Like Vancouver is one thing; they're like next level, like on another planet. But Toronto is, I think, now that I'm involved in the planning process and getting all the vendors and everything, it is an absolute shit show. And I mean that in the most polite way. It's just like you realize that everyone's like, you don't need to go all out, dude. We're just trying to have a simple wedding, and even with that, it all the baseline has kind of gone up, and I think COVID's kind of accelerated that even more. So when I hear a story like yours, where you kind of did everything yourself, every little detail, crook and canny was pretty much uncovered by Julie and yourself. It was, that's huge, right?
Yeah, honestly, it was our third time planning it, and the main reason why is because of COVID situation. The first time couldn't happen,
Right.
and I planned the entire wedding for the.
When were you supposed to get married the first time?
It was last year September.
Okay,
I was supposed to get married last year September. Everything was planned out well. It was an outdoor wedding.
Yeah.
It was at a mansion. The budget wise for 250 people was legit. Like what we had, the vendors, it was great. But COVID situation, it just affected us. Everything we had to shut it down and postpone it.
Yeah.
May came about this year, thinking that things are gonna happen, and then Julie's parents are gonna come over from crossing the border from US here. The borders were still closed. They didn't allow to cross. The border agents did not allow them to cross the Canadian land.
Right.
So,
and for those of you who don't know, Julie is from New York, his wife.
yeah. So that impacted her like emotionally. So that fucked everything up, and that fucked me up.
Because I remember it was a week before you gave me sweets, and you're like, "Hey, wedding is next week."
I know. We sent the second invitations again.
Yeah.
I was second time sending fucking invitations, and then that ruined everything. So we're like, oh shit, I got pissed off. She got pissed off.
Yeah.
And then now this time, that's why we on the third try we knew we had to do everything ourselves because we can't afford to lose any more money, and we were really efficient about it. So it worked out really well for us.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. It was great. It was a great. I had back-to-back weddings. I had yours, and then I had another wedding the weekend after.
Yeah.
And then obviously now next summer is crazy amount of weddings happening.
Yeah. Apparently, a lot of my friends said that this was the wedding of the year, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, man. Yo, listen, the food. Shout out to Brindleberry Catering.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about your involvement with them, but man, like this Brindleberry, those of you who don't know, Chef Morelli is the founder and head chef of this catering business or restaurant takeout business, and the food is, how would you describe the food?
Authentic, unique, and
like a fusion with Western and
it's
South Asian flavors.
It's almost something like state of the art, something that you never seen in the industry here. Like food is right now, there's so much food out there, but there's no authenticity, and when Chef Marley comes in, that's where he brings in the traditional type
it's so
of
original.
fusion.
It's something that it's like, I think the handful of times I've tried his food, and obviously through you, all I have to say is incredible.
Yeah,
like nothing comes close to it, to be honest with you. When
it's not comparable.
Nothing. It's not comparable. I can't even say what's the next best thing because the menu is just so different. So what else is new with you, man? What have you been up to? I know you've been traveling quite a bit for the last couple of years.
Yeah, before COVID. Yeah,
before COVID. Now what are you up to now?
Just been doing my own consulting firm. I have my own consulting firm, just consulting a lot of small, mid-sized company, mostly developing on their business model, trying to create something unique for them, pivoting their businesses. So
are you like in a specific industry when it comes to consulting? Like what's
No, actually, because I worked with many different industries, so I'm really well diverse because I have a general knowledge of how businesses should be run. So many of the small size, mid-size business owners, they come to me for support in terms of sales, marketing strategy, business development, trying to see what the vision is, and I make it happen for them. That's basically it.
Yeah.
If you have an idea, like for example, your podcast, what you wanted to do, and I could sit down with you and create a plan.
Okay.
And make it happen.
Right.
Create strategies. How are we gonna make it? What do you see in the next year?
Right. So it's general strategist kind of consulting.
Yeah. And it worked out really well for me because you grow with the company, and as you go with them, you kind of learn new things. You learn more strategies. You learn about the industry. You learn about the nuances involved within the industry. You learn about how the businesses function in there, how partnership works, and all that stuff. So it works hand in hand for me. It's a win-win situation. Client get a chance to see the growth by where I support them, and then on my side is knowledge and networking.
Right.
So not only I focus on one industry where I build a lot of network, but multiple industries.
We talk about things like success, and I like for someone that deals with organizations on a day-to-day basis that have certain operational whatever problems, right? And you come up with a solution. I see a lot of contractors, even in my company, that are working as contractors. Their job is to succeed in certain areas, right?
You brought the key word problems. You get the way to generate business is to find out what the problems are. If you know that any clients, any customers that you work with, you identify what the problems are, then you're able to, and you know what the solution is going to be or how it's going to look like,
Right.
then it's going to work out for them.
Yeah, because if you have no problems, there's no need for you.
Exactly.
Right.
So a lot of people, always have problems. So they need solutions,
Right.
and that's where they come to us.
Yeah.
And that comes down to like what you offer, right? For example, in your, and if a person, in your case, let's talk about you, right? Because I want to talk about you now. So suppose,
Yeah, flip the script anytime, man. I was born for this.
so
Yeah.
you have a lot of attributes. Now you have your degrees. You're a very smart individual that a lot of people don't know. Just kidding. But Sunny has, you have your you've done your CFA.
I mean, I've definitely done some damage to my brain cells over the years, but yeah.
But it hasn't damaged fully. But like you've been in the industry, in the finance industry for quite some time. You know how the real estate market works, and and all that stuff. So over time, as you gaining that skill set, you want to utilize that skill for other companies, small size companies, mid-sized companies that need that kind of support. And when you actually give a value proposition like this is what I'm proposing to you, and they'll be open to listen.
Right.
It just comes down to the people that around your network and how you could expand that network through people.
Yeah.
So I always, my biggest thing is I'm always into building connections, and then from there building other connections through them. And then part of it is just making sure that you be able to support the current connections that you have, so they'll be able to support you to connect you with the other parties.
Right. So I mean, the flow of business here, or the money maker, is, through your connections. And I think today, through social media, like the need for connection is more. It's critical. It's at a critical mass right now. That the need for connection has come to such a point where this pandemic has put us in this like aquarium where we realize, what, we can stay at home and live in these kind of silos and still engage with the world out there. Now you have things like the metaverse, NFTs, and I don't want to comment too much about it on this episode yet because I do want to kind of explore the topic with another guest that's coming up. But
yeah, for me, it's about physical connections, be able to interact with people face to face, right? And then the way I see connections is like building that relationship with somebody. It's not like, hey, look,
But do you not see that being obsolete eventually over time? Because like now, like, do you think that, like, what happens in a world where, for example, today I read something that there's a store that opened up called Clover in Toronto that has absolutely 0 employees. It's a retail store.
Yeah. It's very unusual because now it goes back to what you mentioned earlier, virtual reality, and then also now they're implementing these kind of stores where they have AI technologies and they're implementing there. So anybody that walks in is scanned and purchased and recorded, but there's no physical interaction between cashier and then the customer.
Yeah, look at Walmart lines now over the years. Like we have the fast, like, it's incredible to think about how fast technology has grown from our childhood, or like when we were in elementary school and we had like the MP3s that came after the Sony Walkmans. I was like, shit, 30 songs on a fucking MP3 device. This is a game changer. To now, the computer rolled around. we had the paint function on the computer, which is all I did. This was like 97, 98,
The
and then
Pentium 1, Pentium 2 kind of
yeah,
back then
the colored Macs, and now today, literally everything is at my fingertips,
on
like
your
on the
phone.
phone, right?
Yeah.
And it's like technology is advancing so fast and so quick.
I kind of disagree because technology right now we're a bit behind. We're supposed to be at least much faster than before, and
In terms of what?
well, the thing is right now because okay, one of the industries I used to work at is semiconductors, right? And from what I know,
There's a huge shortage, right?
there's a huge shortage, but also the right now they're moving faster in terms of um, double stack chips, and that's why when you see like smarter phones, smarter TVs, it's because they have unique chips that they implemented.
Okay.
Versus if you notice 2-3 years ago,
Right.
it wasn't the same. What I feel like now this generation, the technology now is still a lot to be improved. Like when you think, let's talk about artificial intelligence. That was there, existed for decades ago.
Okay.
It was never been kind of like elaborated much further or
Right.
studied more. But now it's heavily influenced, right? In
Well,
AI,
that's
right?
like artificial. I think you have brilliant minds like Elon, and you have a lot of money and the privatization of so many important institutions. For example, we talked about AI, but quickly to think about NASA, this whole space program was created in the 1960s
Yeah,
as a race. It was considered like it was an indirect race between countries
it
who would
was.
come up as like the best country in the world,
Yeah,
right? Who is the number one, the world's most dominant country? Everyone, Russia, India, everyone was on this race to put their first put the man on the moon.
yeah.
Eventually, we all know or we all don't know, but the U.S. did it. Whether that was real or not, that's up to the conspiracy theorists out there to decide. But it was a government program that kind of dumbed down for the last 40 years, 50 years. Tesla came along, or Elon Musk created the SpaceX program,
Hmm.
which is now completely private.
It,
It's private. It's a private
yeah,
company that is now on the race to get to the fucking moon,
yeah.
which is insane. I think that it's showing that now because there's privatization of a lot of these institutions, that technology is going to go at a pace that is going to be insanely like out of this world. You know?
It could be. It could because I would say the COVID situation actually made greater progress in terms of improving the technology,
Yeah.
right? Let's talk about logistics. There were many delays in terms of logistic during COVID time, but now they improved they're trying to improve their logistic aspect.
Logistics is the most slept on industry that a lot of people don't talk about. I saw something the other day where they talked about if you're looking for an industry to make good money, the
Yeah.
logistics industry, no one talks about. But Amazon Prime, for
Oh
example,
yeah,
the
they're
ability
on the
to get
top.
items from one place to the other through a network of distribution centers, like people don't realize, but it's an insane institution, and I think the whole industry really catapulted into another stage or another level
Yeah.
because of COVID. Because everyone, even retailers, realized shit, our logistics sucks. If someone wanted to buy a pair of jeans from the Gap, for us to get it to them or whatever, it's a whole fucking process,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
And during COVID, they had no choice but to do that because people couldn't come to the store. So people were buying online and they weren't able to, like the volume of business that they were getting online, they were failing logistically to get them out of the door. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
where they
A
realized,
lot of companies were
and
not
but they
prepared.
picked up, and now industrial, for example, industrial assets or warehousing, it's like one of the most lucrative or best performing asset classes, in the industry right now,
Mm.
across all industries. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's like it goes to say, like, I think that you're right. Like logistics, through COVID, there was a lot of interesting moments,
A lot
but
of interesting moments, a lot of changes.
mm,
This is where now uh, many industries are starting to see we need to improve on technology. We need to improve on the processes. We need to kind of figure out what's the next best thing going to be or how's it going to look like. And do we need to implement more AI involved in there? Do we have to, you know, cut down the labor and increase more of technologies. Like this is where the scary moment comes, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
okay, going back to the example that you mentioned, now people are walking down to the store, doesn't nobody there, you just like purchase the item and walk out.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything has been purchased, scanned through your card, and that's it. You
Hmm.
call it a day. But how's the next generation gonna look like? Are we all gonna be living at home and doing everything from in house?
Hmm.
That's the
I think
question.
so. I think that's a really big question, and I
Right.
think that that's all open for opinion. But I think we're becoming less social. We're becoming more selective with who we socialize with.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, we have there's different ways to be social now that don't require us being physically present, and that's something that's above. I think we're considered old heads, but like we don't really understand that concept. But
I
man,
am.
there's
I'm.
virtual relationships out there, like where there's
Yeah, I am kind of on the middle ground because I don't mind the whole virtual relationship, getting to know people outside, but it's not the same quality as
would
where
you
you and I sitting
would you
down.
would you if you hadn't met Julie, let's say prior to that, and all these questions are like just generally speaking, would you be okay with dating someone virtually and then marrying them
I mean,
with just through that virtual
the
interaction?
the thing is between Julie and I, it wasn't like you could say it's almost was kind of like virtual because we had a long distance relationship.
Right.
It improved the communication
But how
aspect.
important was meeting physically? Like I'm sure that
Oh yeah,
there's
100.
so much about like the physicality or seeing each other, or expressions and whatnot that'd be like, okay, now I can put a voice to that name.
We're generally human
Or
beings. So we need physical contact. We need to be able to see people physically, or else that's where, mental illness and people go through depression. Those things come along. When Julie and I were long distance, it was
Mhm.
very difficult for us. COVID actually made it worse for us in terms of seeing each other. She was from New York, I'm from here. So it was challenging.
Mhm.
Almost like over a year, we weren't able to see each other.
And how often were you the one that was going often to New York, or was it
It
well?
was both. We actually compromised, managed to see each other. Like I go first month, she comes the next month, that kind of basis. But when COVID hit, everything shut down. Right, we
Right.
couldn't fly, we couldn't, go on the road to see, to see each other, and
Yeah.
that kind of messed things up. But one thing about the whole virtual aspect where we communicated online, it did help to kind of to pretty much continue our relationship and build a stronger relationship because of communication aspect, right? But to be honest, me being a sort of like a old-minded person, I prefer physical aspect. Like I'd like to see a person. I like to see you in person rather than talking to you every day on a phone call,
Right.
right? Or
Well, not even phone call now. It says text or
I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. Texts, I'm very limited. For
yeah.
me, it's like give me a call, or I'll take my time replying back to you.
Yeah. You know what I think it is though? I think before social media, there was curiosity, like what was this person up to? And I'll give you a really good example or anecdote.
Facebook.
When we would be done school
Yeah.
in June, we would have summer. Summer used to feel like the longest fucking summer. Well, it used to be like an entire year, right?
Yeah.
When you rolled back in September, everyone went through some crazy puberty. Like everyone either got taller, everyone just looked different,
Hmm.
right? It's because over the period of 2 months, we had no idea what everyone was up to,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas now, social media, dude, I just saw someone after like since Schulich,
Hmm.
2012, almost 10 years ago,
Yep.
and I met them, and it was like we never like we know exactly what's going on. I can't even say how your kids are doing because I see everything. Like I obviously did, but I see it's like I know what everyone's up to on Instagram, on social
So there's a
media.
there's a little thing about it. Is I noticed how people view things and people want to keep in track. They're eager to actually see what other people are doing. Um, I mean, my Instagram, it's very private. I don't really have that many people.
Mm.
Like, just like, even though I have a large network,
Right.
like on my side, but I have about 160 people on my Instagram. Facebook, I completely deleted. I don't want to be part of it. But I noticed that, like, if I post something, there's actually genuine people to actually reach out to me and they're
Hmm.
like, hey, look, it's nice to see you. Like, you're doing these things. How are you doing and stuff? Or if I don't post anything, there's a few other people that I haven't spoken to. They're very curious to find out what
Mm-hmm.
you're up to and stuff, which is great. It's not, I don't find it like somebody's really bothering me or trying to be a little creep, but I feel that
Yeah,
they
like
genuinely
once.
wanna to catch up with you.
Hmm.
When I used to post a lot of stuff online several years ago, when I had my Facebook moments, I felt like I was exposing too much about myself,
Right,
and I felt kind of like I was abusing it.
right,
I did not like it. I didn't feel appreciative, right?
right,
So I
right,
had to make a lot of changes. I'd like to have my private life and not tell people what I'm doing.
right.
I like people to kind of reach out to me and see what I've been up to, which
Yeah,
is much far more greater than people looking at me seeing what I'm doing every
for
day.
sure. And to be honest with you, I'm guilty for that. Like I do share quite a bit, but I also, on the flip side, and again, this is everyone's opinion, but I I'm going through a little bit of a digital cleanse,
Yeah,
and what I mean by that is like the people that are in my network, I want to be more selective, at least on my personal account of who these people are.
right.
And unfortunately, like some of these people that have added from like university days that at some point we're close, but now we haven't really talked in the last 5 years. But as I'm thinking about the wedding and I'm thinking about who I want to invite, et cetera, I think going back to what you talked about, the concept of the importance of connection and how connection makes you money,
Hmm.
or is the center of business. I think that connection is also the center of everything else. How
Everything.
often is it during? I think the biggest ask for myself was during this pandemic, who really reached out to me and was like, "Yo, what's up, man?" or "What's good?" And I appreciate each and every one that did. Not that I'm saying that I need to. I'm saying it just showed you like, you know, exactly what you said, that when you post less or you put out less information, people are curious again, and then people will reach out.
Yeah.
But then it's becoming a slippery slope now, because it's like that world is become a completely separate world of its own. Like it's like man, Roshan, like it's like how can you utilize social media? We talk about the cons, which I totally get, but you can also leverage it for its pros, right?
Yeah.
For
Which
example, it's a great housing mechanism for memories. Like I can go literally every day or go back and I can literally see pictures that me and you have taken, which I would never go through my phone storage to look for, but I can
right.
easily look for it on a social media platform, if you know what I mean, right?
Absolutely. Like, yeah, I completely agree with that. And for me, okay, one thing about it is in terms of social media is like I'm very keen about privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like I don't mind posting a lot of things, but I don't like to post a lot of things about myself. I like to post a lot of things about the travels, the things that I see,
Right.
the things that we see on the world, like the beauty of it and the food that we try, all that stuff. I
Yeah.
don't mind.
Right.
Anything about myself, nada. I don't like to post anything like that because I just feel like it's just too exposing.
Right. Right.
I like to keep it very privatized and confidential. Uh, but when suppose going back to like what you said about you know like limiting yourself from posting stuff and then people reaching out to you, and it's not just always about building connections and making profit out of it, or them helping you with like businesses, but it's also like building that great relationship with those people that that you could it's going to be a long term, it's
Right.
not going to be a short term.
For sure. For sure.
So what I'm coming from here is the relationship that I built with a lot of people now, from during COVID time or pre-COVID and all that stuff. Uh, these are all like long-term relationships. It's not just for businesses, but it's also for friendships, and anything that happens to them, I'm always there.
Right.
I'm the first person to be there to help them out. Or if anything happens to me, they've always been there.
Yeah.
Like for example, in our wedding, on my wedding, like when during the reception, how many people we had? We had about 20 people
Right.
that actually wanted to
And
genuinely help us
yo,
out.
I was joking with Rupi, and I was like, if you were to ask even your groomsmen or your people to come at like to set up a reception, it's like it truly gets you thinking how many of them
Are
would
down to do it.
truly be down to come help you after the wedding and before the reception. And so to see that many
And
people,
then after the reception too,
and
because
even
there's few people stayed over to actually.
not a few, the entire so
I
at the
didn't
end of the
remember actually. I was
reception,
pretty tipsy.
yo,
So
you're okay.
I
Like
was okay. I was
at
still
the end of the
setting up.
reception at midnight, there was takedown. So obviously, what you put up, you must take down as well. And so there was no third company or external company like we talked about. Everyone that was a guest at the reception, even if they were ripped, were literally helping out. So I remember I was taking down one
There were
of
a lot
the
of people that were ripped.
yeah, I was taking down one of the backdrops,
Yeah.
and me and Rupi were taking it down, and some guy kept coming up to me. One of your, I don't know, he was super trashed, really fucking trashed.
I know who you're talking
This
about.
was the guy. This guy was like, and his wife
Yeah.
wasn't happy at all. Like this
Oh
guy,
yeah, I know who
you
you're
know,
talking about.
and this guy kept coming up to me, and
He's a nice guy.
he's a gem of a guy, but.
Yeah.
I know how how it feels like to be ripped.
Yeah.
I kept telling him like, yo, dude, you don't need to help, and I didn't want to offend him at the same time.
Yeah.
He's grabbing literally the backdrop pole, like the stand, which is already in my hands. He's like, give it to me, I got it, and like we own that, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, yo, chill, man. But like I looked around me, and literally there were people that were drunk, bumping into each other with shit in their hands, and I'm like, never have I seen a scene like this
Yeah.
at a reception, which is good. It speaks volume of that the 60 people that you invited were truly people that were there for you and not necessarily there just to get fucked up themselves.
Yeah, they were
and-
there for us.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
everyone kind of rolled up their sleeves and helped out, which I think was awesome, man.
And I love that. I love that because I think the reception made it happen really went great because of the people. It wasn't just about people getting drunk, partying up and stuff. It's about people like, we had two separate sections, New York and Toronto,
Yeah.
actually mingling together.
You know why I was also sick? Because you got me as the MC.
That's another
Yeah,
thing too.
the MC is all about setting the vibes. They're the stewards. And by the way, I'm just joking.
Well, you were the MC, you were
big
the
ups
dancer,
big ups to Bran. Bran killed it.
you were performing too.
Yeah, man. When I got called out to do the Bhangra dance,
I mean, that was Julie's idea. We agreed. Her and I, we sat
I actually
down.
didn't expect that because I was like, yo, I'm MCing. How the fuck? There's so many people that you better call on other people.
No, we're like,
This guy called on me to do the dance, and
we thought about the two most craziest and fun type of people. It was you and Rupi, and then Bran and Ronnie.
I appreciate it, bro. So
you guys killed it. Yeah.
So now that you're a married man, it's been a month now, right?
Well,
No, it's not even a month. It's been half a month.
yeah, but
It's
it's like pretty much like official. But we've been married for almost like a year.
What's
now.
your biggest advice when it comes to what's your relationship advice?
Relationship advice or marriage advice?
Marriage advice. Yeah.
Marriage advice. Biggest thing.
Biggest that comes to mind, man.
I would say just stay quiet as much as you can. Because the more you talk, there's gonna be more problems.
That's actually solid advice. You know what? They say that 99% of the problems that happen in a relationship, any relationship,
Yeah.
they happen based on shit that happens in our head, and it's not even fact.
The problem that I have about myself is I'm very like outspoken. Like I speak a lot and I say things, and
Yeah.
sometimes things may turn out to be bad.
Yeah.
So I learn how to stay quiet, and if I'm really pissed off, it's fine. Just take a walk. If you have a dog, take a walk. If you have a cat, carry your cat with you. Take a walk. Or if you're by yourself, just go for a drive. It's going to help you cool off and just realize, okay, you know what? It's not a big issue.
Right. It's solid advice. I think I was going to say communication is key because
Yeah.
and it goes back to staying quiet because I think the bigger thing here is that we often think that we can read each other's minds.
That's never the truth.
There's like over 7 billion people on this planet. Everyone is uniquely different. My brother upstairs is different.
Yeah.
I'm different. You're different. But when we meet our partner, we have this, inherent expectation that they should know everything I'm thinking. They should
That's
know
not
everything
true.
I feel. And that's not true.
No,
I-
I don't even. I'm still
It
learning.
It shouldn't be the case, right?
No.
And that's where like you need to talk. If you feel a certain way, I think communication is you need to talk, but you also need to listen. And I
If
think
I'm-
the latter of the two is just as critical because we We respond to, oh yeah, we don't listen to understand, we listen to respond,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between
And
listening to
yeah.
understand versus listening to just respond.
And I've learned that from the hard way because I those are the biggest things that I actually failed many years ago is the listening aspect, right?
Yeah,
So
but
I
it's trial and error, right? I think,
yeah.
life is built in a way where like you're gonna do the thing that you were meant to do. You're gonna be with the person that you're meant to be with, but life is teaching you to be the person that you need to be for those moments and for those people, right?
This one thing
And
about human beings that I notice is there's so much you want to say and you're afraid that you're gonna forget about it, so you want to say it right away,
mhm,
and that's where the issue comes in, right? But if you start listening to understand what the other person is saying, things may work out.
for
If
sure,
you're really upset about something, say it.
right,
Just be like, hey, look, I want to sit down with you and talk to you about it. I'm really upset about stuff. This is what I'm upset about, and give a chance the other person to talk about it, and then just take turns. Just try to figure out where the middle ground is. And
mhm,
that's the same aspect when it comes down to, if you start up your own business, same thing. When you deal with clients,
right,
you can't just always be speaking all the time. There's a lot of things clients they want to talk about. They're gonna continuously talk. Most of the time, in my business, 80%, 90% of the time, I actually listen.
right.
The remaining 10%, that's when I give two sentences. It's like, okay, this is what we need to do. I understand your situation.
First of all, for anyone that's looking for relationship consulting, my man here, Roshan, got you.
Oh yeah,
He
I've been through a
consulting
lot,
in all fucking industries, but
including relationships.
it-
Been through a lot.
but
So
when you talked about the concept of saying less, I came across a video, and I'm sorry to say this, but I remember the first episode I bantered on TikTok, and now I use TikTok quite avidly.
yeah,
And I use it, man, like as a source of information too. And I remember coming across a clip where they talked about the people that like talk less, right,
yeah,
in a room,
mm-hmm.
always have this aura of authority in a meeting or in a room because they always listen. And the people that talk more, and I've kind of thought about this myself a little bit. I'm like, there's moments where I'll admit this, right? I don't like silence. When I'm in a car even and there's silence, I've always like been thinking like something's wrong and something's up.
Oh no,
So I
I
end up
love
talking.
silence.
I end up like filling, you know, occupying those moments with like just random ass topics or conversations or things that just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like for that moment. But then I saw that and I realized I'm like, that's actually so true to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think listening what's happening around you is such a more powerful trait than just speaking, right?
Yeah, because you
Or
tend
having the
to,
best of both worlds.
yeah, you tend to, that's how you're going to engage in a conversation. That's how you're going to understand what the other person is saying. You're going to find opportunities. You're going to find things that it may work out with that person, especially in a relationship, right?
Right.
Whether if it's business, relationships, or dealing with family members, whatsoever. Um, like I said, I dealt with it on a hard way for many years, and then now the way I work with things is I like silence. That's another trait that I have. I don't like too much noise around. Silence actually helped me to think about positivity, better things in my head, to figure out what I need to do next.
Right.
It actually generates more ideas. All these things that I've learned is basically general knowledge of for many years of trial and error. To be honest, like
Okay.
working with people, seeing all the failures, my failures, I failed a lot for many times, and I improved on it. Even with relationships, I realized it was always about me all the
Mm.
time, and then I realized now it's never about me. It's
Right.
it's about the other person, and I gotta take a moment to relax and
Yeah, I think that's a big one.
think
I
about
think
it.
with relationships growing up, or at least when we were immature or figuring out our maturity, is
Yeah.
we really focus on us and how that relationship makes us feel rather than you can't control the feelings or the actions of others, but what you can do is control what you do. And we kind of and it's this kind of concept or the concept of service is how can I be a better partner? How can I be a better friend? How can I be a better sibling? And it's honestly, man, it's a lifelong learning experience at the end of the day.
Yeah, and a lot of things you don't have to share everything to everybody, not
Yeah.
even your own, soulmate whatsoever. There's certain things that you feel and how you feel. That's if you feel like you want to keep it to yourself, it's
Keep it to yourself.
keep
Yeah.
it
There's
keep
no
it to
need to.
yourself. You don't have to tell everything. No one has to know everything about yourself.
Right.
Even
So
just
yeah, you know what? We were talking about dumb human beings, right?
yeah.
Human beings are so dumb all the time, right? And TikTok also has a lot of dumb videos that
Oh,
keep me entertained.
I've
But
seen a few TikToks. It's so many dumb
there's
shit that
some
I
dumb
see.
there's some dumb videos, but they make me laugh, right? But humans are so dumb that sometimes, like, instead of what they need is therapy, they are looking up their names now. It's going viral all over the internet, but they're looking up their names on Urban Dictionary
Yeah.
to see what they mean, to kind of be like reflect on some deeper issues that they may have, when they really should be looking at no, sorry, I was gonna say consultant, therapist, right?
They should look at themselves as a therapist.
I wonder what Roshan says. Let's
I
look
mean,
this.
the way I see it
Let's look
is,
this up.
Urban Dictionary has been there for God who knows, like why
Okay.
now, right? Like you want to find out about your name. Uh,
So I just looked up your name right now.
can't believe we're doing this right now.
Okay. Roshans tend to be pretty friggin' awesome. They're extremely talented, intelligent, and good looking.
That's pretty true.
All right.
Okay, go
They
on.
treat the women they care about like their queen, but if you get on their bad side, they'll destroy you.
Damn right, bitch. That's all.
they, have, they have zero tolerance for bullshit, especially bullshit from females. Right? Yeah, this sounds like you.
Oh yeah, hundred
Roshans are
percent.
really protective over their friends, and if you hurt them, they'll destroy you.
No, I'll fuck you up for sure.
They're, they're amazing best friends, although that spot is usually taken by someone special to them. Um, they tend to get along with girls better than guys
That's completely true.
and get a lot of attention from women, but they usually ignore it.
That's
Rosh-
true as well.
yeah, this is get weirdly true, actually.
Yeah.
Roshans usually go for the girls with lots of guys liking them because they like challenges and they really do care
Oh
about
yeah, I love
this guy.
challenges.
Whoever submitted this, um, yeah, did not spell check. Um, Roshans usually end up trying their luck at acting, zoology, and modeling.
Oh god, thought
Um,
about it, but
in
no.
the end, Roshans always get what they want. They always get their way. The amazing girl that's been there all along included. This is submitted by some girl named Rakora Silverfist. These are like user submitted, right?
Yeah, I noticed
And
they have some names in there, but
anybody can submit, man. It's so dumb. It's so funny. But that was weirdly, when I was starting to read that, it was weirdly true.
that is pretty much
I'm not even gonna read Sunny because I know it's probably some
part. But
But man, listen, we are we're winding down to the hour mark. Let's kick
why
it
don't we
after.
why don't we set down to a conclusion? So, a few key words I could tell you guys is
Hold on, let me take notes.
be able to at least be yourself. End up start loving yourself as much as you can. And be able to. The more you love about yourself, the more people recognize the way you are, and they want to be appreciative and be around with you. Right? You're gonna end up meeting close people around you. You realize who your true friends are, who your business partner is gonna be. Uh, and also, like, you're gonna find someone that truly loves you the way you are.
Right.
Somebody that's never gonna change you, because just the way you are that's what the person want you to be for the rest of your life, right?
That's true. Yeah.
And be patient. Things. I know we're in a fast-paced environment. Everybody they're off the race. You gotta take your time. You can't just because the other person is doing the other thing doesn't mean the fact that you could be the same one. So his timing is different than yours.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta go at your own pace. And if you know that you're an entrepreneur, take your time, develop the business, figure out what you want to do, find out what your vision is gonna be, and how you're gonna be able to generate revenue and support others. Those are the kind of things that you might have to look into. But spend a little bit more time on yourself first before you do things for others.
Yeah, ditto. I think that is incredibly solid advice. I've done that. Like, you have to focus on yourself before you can think about even attracting anything or anyone else
Yeah.
beyond what is in your control, right? So I think you, Roshan, my man, you're obviously going to be often. For those of you who don't know, Roshan lives like, now that I moved out, he lives like down the street from me, so not too
Yeah.
far. But he'll be like, the focus won't be on this podcast to bring new guests every week, but instead it'll be focusing on topics and conversations and headlines at hand. And Roshan might be back here next weekend. You know, he might be
Sure. Why
back here
not?
next weekend.
If you
The
guys
weekend
like me,
after.
yeah, reach out.
Yeah, no one likes you. But yeah, if anybody else has any anyone wants to reach out, be on the pod, shoot the shit, hit me up, let me know. Any comments, any feedback would be appreciated. I am back. It's the holiday season. You're gonna be expecting a lot more episodes from me. Any last words?
No, I think this was a great call, to kind of meet up and talk about topics. So I really enjoyed it. So thank you, Sonny.
No worries. And for those of you who don't know, Roshan's also one of my groomsmen. We got our fucking bachelor party coming up
Oh, yeah.
in about 40 days, 45 days.
Pretty nervous, but okay.
I'd be nervous if I were. Everybody else, peace.
All right. Peace.
I hate my heart, but baby,